just double check that it's connected, but I think we're good to go. So welcome. What we're looking at is Drew's Adventures and Werner's Adventures, who have been incredible supporters over a long period of time on a couple of my other channels as well as here. So the first thing we'll do is shout out Come Hither with Heather, who we were hoping was going to join us, but she'll probably watch afterwards. And we were just, I was whining and complaining about Canada's data for streaming and some of the other things we find very expensive here, which is like flights and things like that. But we're luckily I managed to connect with Drew and Werner a few minutes ago, and they're just describing their time in Canada and a little bit of the differences that they see between our country and Australia. So you guys have enjoyed
absolutely
the time that you've been
love
here?
Canada, to be honest, probably more than I did with the States. No offense to any of the US people, but just overall the way the States was run was a lot more confusing for us. And in terms of airports especially and stuff like that, connecting to flights and having your gate change at a massive airport in the States was so overwhelmingly like what the heck. We basically we found that the States was a little bit harder to navigate and harder to figure out, in our minds at least, than Canada.
Forgive me for not being certain, so you use metric in Australia as well, right?
Yeah, we use kilometres, we use metres, we use centimetres, we use kilometres per hour. So working out things like miles per hour and miles from a next part to, from one destination to the next was a bit rough, wasn't it, Werner?
Correct. Yeah.
So what did you think of?
Well, the same as what you went through. I found Canada more relaxing.
More chilled out, more like Australia, like
what their same sort of thing. Like everything's the same as us back home. It's like. In the US, I noticed like kilometres versus miles. There's a few other things there that we're not used to, but Canada's sort of the same as what we are.
Very, very similar.
Kilometres here. The only difference is you guys drive on the opposite side of the road.
Yes, that's right.
We drive on the wrong side.
That's right.
It's like when we cross the roads here, it's like we all look both ways. I think, there's a car coming from
Werner's always, I'm like, Werner, look to the other side. I'm like, you don't want to get run over. I don't want to have to tell Heather that you haven't made it back in one piece. I'm like, a few times. So it's been fun. I think the most beautiful thing I've noticed with Canada, at least, is the natural beauty here. You guys have the bears, you have the elk. We saw a massive elk up in Deer Island in Edmonton, Alberta, and probably the rack on his antlers was a good 2 meters high, and you just think, what a majestic creature, and just remarkable. And your forests here are so lush and green. Even our forest back home, at least in our part of Australia, is not sort of green. It's greenish, but it's not as lush or dense. And obviously, I think I'm trying to think what other things we've noticed. The people here are really, really kind. They will stop and help you. Like we had a lady that told us that the bus wasn't running from the other side of the road, didn't she? The other day. We were really, really lucky. She was like,
we would have been waiting there.
She's like, hi guys, who are you waiting? Like, where are you waiting for? And we're like, we're trying to get up, to this spot up the road. And she's like, just letting you know, the bus doesn't come from this side. You got to go to the other side of the road. We thought that is so kind because we just didn't have a clue of the local busways, and we're trying to use Google Maps to navigate, and that's not the easiest thing to do sometimes.
So that's funny. So Drew and I managed to join Come Hither with Heather and Tiffany from Canadian Family Life on a live stream just about a month ago, and we were talking about some of the stereotypes and wondering if they would hold up. So now that you've been here for a while, it's interesting that you say, people in Canada tend to be very nice.
Kind.
But as far as what you've heard with the stereotypes about Canadians, is it holding true, or what's the story?
I think pretty close. I think not entirely though. I think Canadians are very down-to-earth people. Like, that's what we would say back home. Down-to-earth meaning like they would help you. They would give the shirt off their back, you know, if you weren't sure about something or you didn't know what you were doing. You know, people here seem really willing to lend a hand, to say g'day, well, not g'day, but they'll say howdy. Howdy, I think's your thing. I'm not sure, howdy or how you going, bud? You know.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, we call everybody bud.
Yeah, that's right. And so I love the accents. I've got to say, Canadian people have the nicest accents.
Oh, that's funny.
And they always comment about ours. Like Werner and I, every restaurant we've been to or shop, people are like, I thought that was Australian, but I was going to say New Zealand or I was going to say British or because like our part of Australia has a bit more of a Britishy kind of English, perhaps. And so sometimes we'll say things like, in South Australia at least, we say plant for a plant.
Yes.
I say plant, but I'm used to that, having a Melbourne background.
Yes, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, having lived in eastern states in Australia, so I haven't really noticed a lot of difference in the Canadian accent.
Well, you said you spent some time in New Brunswick too, is that right? So you must have found that there's a different dialect out there, right?
Yeah, there is, yeah. They speak with a more curved R, more of an R in things like California.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, like they'll speak a bit differently. And then again, Alberta, Edmonton, I think people were a bit more broad out there, so they sort of sounded more like what I would guess is a Texas kind of accent. I don't know, but yeah, that's just what my friend said. She's like, Pamela, didn't she? She's like, we're like the Texas of Canada out in Alberta. I was like, well, you don't feel like you are. You feel more accepting than what Texas would feel like probably for me and Werner. But
I think the highlight of our whole trip was Canada.
Really?
Yeah. I wish we sort of decided to come here before we went to the US. I mean, we had some excellent times. I mean, actually, Utah was probably my highlight.
I love Baltimore. I really love Baltimore. A lot of people say Baltimore is, you know, an S-hole, but you know, Baltimore to me, I felt like, yes, it was very dangerous in parts, but to me, Baltimore felt like it had so much history that needed to be unpacked, and I'd love to spend a month there and just document the whole city.
Interesting.
I don't think anyone's ever done a documentary on it from an outsider's perspective, you know. So I thought about doing something like that maybe when I come back.
It would be interesting. I've only spent the tiniest amount of time around Baltimore, but I know they have a lot of culture down there, especially when it comes to music. I was very involved in music, and people would mention like Baltimore has its own thing, its own club music and things.
That's right.
So there must be a lot down there.
We met a guy who was going to try and get us on his radio show over there.
Oh wow.
And he said about the music being very unique. He said, he's like, oh, have you heard any about rap? And I was like, well, I've heard lots of rap in my life, right? Mainly Eminem style stuff or something. But I was like, no, like, and then but unfortunately, because our flight was going to leave on the day, he couldn't get us into the studio at the time to talk Aussie and talk how our music might differ from theirs. But for me, Baltimore, Utah, Antelope Canyon was incredible. And I liked a lot of what I saw in America. I just found that, and again, no offense to any of our American people, but where I just found that generally Americans didn't want to help you as much as what Canadians have wanted to, or offer to try and give you guidance, or you know, say g'day. In America, it felt like everyone sort of was in their own bubble, wasn't it? Werner, a little bit.
I've only ever spent time in the northeastern United States. If I was to try to defend, I'd say in major metropolitan areas, people seem to be rushed. Because you can find that in Toronto when you get downtown.
Sydney, it's like that too,
but as soon as you get to the outskirts, which is actually where we are now, in the northeastern edge of Toronto, things will be a little more laid back. Here, everybody's kind of bustling around in the downtown areas. But I'm glad that you seem to be having a lot of fun.
It's been great fun.
Is there any other highlights, like in specific activities or places? Everybody will wonder if you've done the touristy
Niagara
things.
Falls. I really love Niagara Falls. Just to see the power and the volume of that water going down 75 meters or whatever it is. It's just like, Well, you know, and mind-blowing, and I could have sat there for hours. I mean, we did sit there for a couple of hours at least, and Werner was starting to get bored with me, but I'm one of these people, I can sit there and just watch water, you know, I can watch paint dry, and people would probably think it's boring, but I'm just like,
it really is
nice,
mesmerizing,
and just amazing, the light show at night.
Yeah.
The light show at night, I mean, Niagara itself felt a bit like a little mini Vegas.
Exactly, yes.
Like the township part, we didn't worry about, you know, doing the game machines or the, you know, the arcade sort of stuff.
Yes.
We did tour it, we did film it, and that'll be coming on our channels, you know, but the main street. But for us, it was the nature side of Niagara that I really loved, and I don't know about you, Werner, but yeah.
No, I did like it.
Yeah.
Niagara Falls.
Incredible. Yeah, just a fascinating place, and I think if we can, I'd like to see the CN Tower from a distance, probably to somehow to see that. The CN Tower being, you know, Canada's tallest building, I think.
It was the tallest in the world for a long time. I think they made that happen by adding lightning rods to the very tip of it. For a long time, it held the crown, but there's a restaurant in there as well, and it spins. So you get the view of the whole thing. Niagara's got one very similar to the Space Needle, if I understand. And you know, there's things like that around the world now. But
So we've loved every minute of it. Really, it's just the hardest thing has been airports for us, and getting to airports and getting to, you know, knowing how far we are from things that sometimes can be a bit like mind-boggling. And
Toronto's a very flat,
that far out up here.
Toronto's a very flat horseshoe-shaped city, being
like
on the water, like a lot of them are, right? Like Chicago and Boston and this and that. So you can be under the impression something is closer than it is, and then you find out, wow, it takes half an hour with no traffic to drive all the way across the city.
Totally.
Interesting. So you have met up with a few people as well.
Yep, we have. So we met up with Stephanie from Get Spooky Society. She took us around Cedar Grove, took us to a castle. What was it called?
I'm not sure.
La Roche or
it started with a K.
But I wasn't unfortunately well enough to join them on the tour properly. So I don't know what happened, but I might have just got really run down and I got a bit of a virus and I was feeling really hot and sweaty, so I stayed in the car and slept that off. But Werner did the tour of that castle, really enjoyed it.
That was quite interesting.
That was cool. So that was with Get Spooky Society, then we caught up with Dan Bell from This Is Dan Bell and Dan Bell Film It, and Dan took us out actually 2 nights in a row. We didn't expect him to spend that much time with us, but he was really, you know, kind and able to do that.
That's great.
Really scary places.
Oh yeah, we saw the sketchiest abandoned home that's still to come for our channels once we get editing and get data enough to be able to upload.
I had a run-in with a squatter.
We did. We were told by a so-called landlord of this property. He was a couple of doors down, looking like painting up a door. And he saw us and we were just wandering around and we're looking at the building, and then he said, oh yeah, that's my house, you can go in it, right? He's like, I've got it up for sale, you guys go for it, have a look around if that's what you're doing, you know, that's fine. So obviously, you know, we've brought the basics into this house, we're filming it, we're wandering around, you know, with permission, and all of a sudden we get, as we're about to leave, this lady's at the door downstairs, like, because Baltimore, their houses are very Georgian, sort of, like 2 stories, 2 or 3, 4 stories, and you go up a little narrow staircase generally on the side to get up. So she's down the bottom and she's going, hey, can you get my stuff? And we're like, oh, sorry, like, who are you? And, you know, I don't want to just be stealing from this guy when he's just 2 doors down and we're in Baltimore, you know. It's not a place where you want to sort of mess around, right, with people's stuff. And anyway, so I said, oh, sorry, you can go up, you know, you get your own stuff, like, you know, I don't know what you're after, but you know, I'm staying out of this situation, right? So back to right out of it, and Paul Werner's up the top. But anyway, we got out of there. We walked another block down, and then all of a sudden Werner turns around and she's going, "Hey, come here! What do you think you're doing?" We're like, "Oh no, this is not cool." And then Werner stopped, and I'm like, "No, we should just keep walking. I think until we're not hearing her, you know." and Werner and I stopped, and she came over and she's like, "Oh, you owe me money. You owe me money. You can't just film my house." And we actually got it on video, the interaction, some of the audio too. I got the audio, I think, from it. And she was like, "That's my house. You know, who let you in my house?" And we're like, "Well, your landlord. Yeah, your landlord." And he said that no one lives here, and we're allowed to wander the house.
Wow.
So she wanted money, and then in the end, she's like, "Who let you in? And give us me a description." And we're like, "Well, it was a tall guy, you know, had work clothes on, you know." Said he was the landlord, and
as soon as I said the landlord, she just backed off.
She backed right off.
Wow.
So she was just trying to scam us, really. I think, but get a few dollars off of it. But anyway, So that was an interesting run-in, wasn't it?
And then there was a school that we went to. That was quite interesting. We did a full day filming of
massive video to come
an
on that one.
abandoned school.
Yep. Lake Clifton High. Yeah.
And we also got to do a drone flyover.
Yep. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
That was school. Literally,
that was really
still books on some of the tables, and the tables weren't damaged. And for Baltimore, I thought that's pretty cool because nothing was damaged, nothing was, fortunately, and hopefully, you know, no one goes out there and does anything. But you know, but it was just like a time capsule, of an American school. You know,
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it was cool. And where else did we go?
We met up with
Antelope Canyon in Arizona. We drove down there. Werner and I actually got a hire car, and I drove on the other side of the road, which is scary. the first.
You did quite well.
I did all right. Yeah, a few times I was veering to the right because I'm sort of used to seeing more of a space on my side than I am being on the driver's side, and then seeing just a little line right there. But Antelope Canyon in Arizona, that was just mind-blowingly beautiful. These red and orange, you know, sand walls, and it just felt like you're in another world. Like it felt like you're in a piece of Mars or something.
Yeah.
So for me, I really loved Antelope Canyon in Arizona as well. And then in Canada, Deer Island. It was really nice. I went camping there with Jeffrey, our friend from Fredericton, New Brunswick. He's actually got a channel, Jeffrey's Adventures.
Okay.
So if everyone looks up Jeffrey's Adventures, you'll see mentions of Werner and I, and he'd really love it because he's just getting started on YouTube. He's got less than 100 subscribers at the moment, so he'd probably love to get to 100.
Of course,
People are interested. Jeffrey's Adventures and
Right.
A lot of New Brunswick content, the Maritimes. Yeah, exactly.
So this live stream, by the way, for everybody watching, thank you for being here, by the way, was kind of a last minute. We were trying to figure out when we were going to be able to meet up. So not so much pre-planned. But I will add into the description afterwards Drew's Adventures and Werner's Adventures channels. They'll be easy to find for you. Werner's now at about 4,000, right? Subscribers, somewhere around there.
360.
I think there, and forgive me, Drew, I forget how many you had.
About 900 nearly.
Okay, so getting close to 1,000.
Yeah.
So they'll come up right away. So again, it's Drew, D-R-E-W, and then Werner, W-E-R-N-E-R, Drew's Adventures and Werner's Adventures.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin.
And that's good that you've got some footage, so you're both going to have new content for us within days, because you're going home tomorrow.
That's right, absolutely.
How long is it going to take you to get back now?
So from
17 hours?
About 17, 18 hours from San Francisco Airport, I think. And then we go to Sydney, and then we got to wait in Sydney for a couple of hours, and then we go onto the plane to Adelaide, and we get into Adelaide at about 8 in the morning on the 2nd of September. So Saturday, so it's a long flight, but please come and visit Australia too, everyone. You'll love Australia. Australia's got a lot of cool stuff too.
Absolutely.
But we've loved our time here in the North American continent, and
that's great.
Loved it. You know, just there are differences, and that's for sure, and getting your head around that as a first-time traveller to this side of the world. For me, the only other time I've travelled is to the Philippines, which I really loved as well. But for the first time for me, coming to the North American continent, it's been eye-opening, fascinating.
That's great.
Bewildering, awesome.
Thank you, Scratch and Pete PA, by the way. He just dropped both of the channels.
Thank you,
for
Scratch and
that.
Pete. How are you, matey? Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, forgive me for not welcoming everybody in the chat. We got right into the conversation here, but I know Justin Mello is here with us. Woman Outdoors was here.
Cool.
People might be coming in and out with work and different things. Makeup Mom and Son, Katie's Kitchen, Professional Paranormal Research, supports all of my channels as well. Lisa J. Stocks. And of course, my dear friend Jaden and Come Hither with Heather were both here as well. The Stock Explorers in the house.
Hi, Nora.
So Yasmin Wu is a longtime friend as well. So you guys might find yourselves with a few extra followers today, we're hoping. Dave's Adventures from the UK is in the house as well. So forgive me if I've missed anybody, but thank you again, everybody, for being here. So we're just expecting to have a bit of a late breakfast here. Waiting for the girl to come and serve us. It's been all this time, but
Sunset Grill,
we'll be
everyone.
over here soon.
I just do want to mention another highlight of the trip was Utah. We caught up with a really nice friend of ours, Adam, from he's the paranormal Polynesian.
Oh
So
yeah,
we spent
he was
some time with him, and he took us to some amazing places.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Definitely.
So I just want to.
And then Greg from Uncapped Films.
We caught up with Brett here in Canada. We caught up with Greg from Uncapped Films.
Yeah.
He's an amazing content creator. And
People we've bumped
we
into,
caught up
met
with Brandon Abandon.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to see Canadian Family Life, so sorry guys, but maybe on another trip we might hopefully get to see you, but it's just we're getting time stuck. So but no, thanks everyone who's come out with us and met up with us, taking time out.
And you said you got one more today, right? One more person you're meeting up with today?
So today we're going to catch up with Brandon.
Yes.
Brandon Abandon.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's cool.
That
That's
will
really
work out
cool.
well. Yeah. Jaden just subscribed to my channel. Yeah, thanks
wonderful.
Jaden. Thank you. Yeah. And it's just been a whirlwind tour. Even though we've been here for about 5 weeks, it's felt like it's gone so quick.
It must have,
We've seen a lot and we've done a lot, and thank you to everyone and all Americans and Canadians who have made our trip fun and
I'm sure everybody's going to be
out.
looking forward to catching what you filmed too.
We
You know
got
what
a lot
I
of
mean? To hear your
perspectives.
perspective about the different places you've been to
Totally.
also.
Well, I've already possibly filled up about 2 terabytes of
Wow.
I reckon.
videos, so I'm going to be very busy when I get back.
I think out of my phone, I've used probably about almost all of the space I've got left on my phone, so nearly half a terabyte of video, I reckon at least nearly that I've got. So I've got just the minimum amount left, and I'll transfer it all over. And I did a few videos too where I asked locals what they thought of the American Dream. In Utah, in Eureka, Utah, when we were out with Adam. We met some really cool characters out in rural Utah, like Crazy Mary. Crazy Mary in Eureka, Utah. If you're ever traveling through rural Utah, have a look at Crazy Mary. She's got fossils, she's got gemstones, she's got all sorts of spiritual gifts.
And she even lives in a haunted hotel.
Oh goodness! Wow.
She told us the history. It was like an old Western style, shoot 'em up bar back in the day and stuff. And we're like, wow, we don't get that in Australia. So and we went and saw the home of Anne of Green Gables in Canada. That was just beautiful. That was
great.
a big film that I did, and I'll narrate that over the top because I did it as it's very hard when you got big crowds around you. You can't get clear audio and stuff. So so it was something I'll have to narrate. But there's a lot of content that we're going to be putting up, isn't it, Werner?
I'm going to try and mix my content with things that I've done in the States and possibly some things that I'm going to do back home because I've still got so many files that I need to upload from
trying to get our heads around what we've got.
Us exploring in Australia as well.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of
It's probably going to take a year of
It's going to be,
editing.
I'm going to do a few outtake videos too, so you guys will see the bloopers when, I was about to do my intro and I garbled it up, or I started coughing, or someone yelled in the background or something.
So I'm going to have to get Come Hither to help me with the editing.
Yep, sure, absolutely. So no, it's been great.
It sounds like you've had an action-packed vacation. That's wonderful. It's the unexpected things, I think, that really make it, right? When you talk about meeting different
Most
people.
certainly, yeah. I love
good.
societies. I mean, my channel is a lot of urbex, but it's also gold searching. I've done animal encounters, but I also love, and I've always wanted to explore more people and societies, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to do it from a perspective of looking down on anyone. You know, I've never been that sort of person, but I've always, you know, liked to talk to people, haven't I, Werner? I'll go up to anyone, and over here and in the States as well, I just go up, how are you? You know, tell me a bit about your life. I'm curious, you know, what makes the Canadian dream, you know, still the Canadian dream? What makes the American dream still the American dream? You know, I'm fascinated by societies and people, so yeah, a lot of my content's got to have a bit of a focus around that. Yeah,
That's great. Wow. Yeah. I'm glad you guys have had a really good time.
Thank you.
Like everywhere, both in the
Thanks
States
for taking
and.
time out too. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy
for
to
us.
meet up. It's fun.
So
I mean, I've been
awesome.
lucky. Werner and I've known each other through YouTube for a long time now. But even with Drew about a month ago, like I said, we're on a live stream together with Come Hither with Heather, and that was cool.
It was.
Right?
It was great fun. Yeah.
So
family
let
life.
me ask you this then. If you can remember what it was like before you started your vacation, you might have had expectations for both of you in your mind.
Yep.
And how have things leveled up compared to the expectations?
The funniest one for me is probably that I really expected to see a moose and a bear, right, from a distance, a safe distance. But I was really thinking we would see one of them because, especially Canada with moose, they talk about it a lot, or it's on a lot of your tourist stuff. But a bit like the kangaroo and koala, back home you probably will see a koala and a kangaroo somewhere in your travels. But in Canada, we didn't see any moose or bears, did we? And we were a little bit disappointed, but it is what it is, right? You can't expect wild animals to come out and say good day to you.
I mean, I got to see a coyote.
Yes, that was really cool. We saw a baby coyote.
I really wanted to stop the car and get out and give him a big hug.
Yeah, I was like, we don't do that because Mama Coyote might be around, or the pack of them, like the cousins here. But yeah, we saw a bison. That was really cool. We saw a bison at Elk Island. That's a great spot if anyone's a nature lover. Gets to Canada, go to Elk Island. There's bison all over the sides of the road. We've got a lot of film of that we're going to be putting up.
And we seen a skunk last night.
And we've spoken to people that told us all about skunks. They're like, my dog got skunked, I got skunked, my kid got skunked. They're like, just stand about, you know, a good 7 or 8 meters away from it, you'll be right. We ended up chasing one around.
Goodness.
Not meanly, but we were just like trying to get a video. I said to Werner, I'm like, no, too close, let's stand back. Cool. Alright. Yeah, cool. Alright.
Okay, well, I'll start with the salmon egg sunset.
Yeah, that's my favorite item, honestly.
Yeah.
Salmon egg sunset. That's made with over easy egg. Is that okay?
Sorry?
It's made with over easy egg. Is that okay?
That's fine.
I'll get the salmon egg sunset as well, please. Yeah.
Over easy egg is okay?
Yes, that's fine. Yeah. What does that mean? Sorry, over easy.
Over easy
Hard
is
boiled.
like,
Oh, hard boiled. Yeah, that's fine.
well, it's not hard. It's opposite. It's runny.
Oh, cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know what that meant because that's another term. There you go, everyone. We don't say it like we just go soft boiled or hard boiled.
French connection for me.
French connection. How do you take your eggs?
Scrambled if you don't know yet.
Any meat or no meat?
Bacon.
Thanks, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bundle or separate?
Yeah, no, for me, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah. Yeah, so I think for me, what are the differences? I mean, obviously driving on the other side of the road. Generally, what I found is LA was very Spanish speaking.
Okay.
Right? At least the parts we were in, a lot of people spoke Spanish, and I vaguely understand Spanish, but not to the level of what I was, you know, trying to. So I need to brush up on my Spanish for my next visit to southern, that part of like southern LA if I do go back to LA. But LA was a bit rough on our noses, right? Because we're used to coming from a city where, you know, there's not much pollution and not much dust in the air, and as gross as it is, it's probably the grossest thing you've ever had on the live stream, Kevin. But when we would, you know, blow our nose, it would be like, wow, what have we just breathed in?
Yeah,
The air wasn't fresh.
I'm surprised because that's the first time I've heard anything like that. But one of the things that we know here, being in Toronto as well, is for anybody, especially closer to the heart of the city, you can't leave your windows open for too long. The whole house is covered in dust. And I don't know if it's true that it's just the construction that does it, but when we drive around, you're going to see there's got to be 50 cranes in the air. They're everywhere.
Yes, we did notice a lot of construction, And what I got told, right, Kevin, is that in Canada, when they do construction, is because in the snow time they can't do it, right? And also everything's got to be done in the summertime or fall.
So we have 2 seasons instead of spring. I'm taking this from a comedian. I don't remember who came up with it, but they say, we have winter and construction.
That's a good one.
And that's it. But it seems to be, because in the snow just becomes too much of a problem. But the other thing too is because Canada freezes and thaws, they're constantly repairing because the ground moves, right? It destroys everything. And then the other thing is our snow plows that have to remove the snow. They rip the roads apart, and then we got to fix them all year, right? So
heavy machines.
But it must be experience.
We don't really back home. We don't obviously have snow at all. Well, very rarely. Only it might last for about 20 minutes at Mount Lofty, which is our highest peak at 720 meters or something. That's not high, but no, we just don't get that. We do get a lot of soil movement, but because our soil is very clay and sand-like back home, it's more like desert sort of stuff. And sometimes with that clay-like soil, you do get water mains that break, and that's when our construction goes on. And also they're trying to do upgrades on our roads, aren't they, back home to make traffic flow faster because we're getting a lot of people coming in.
The weather's been kind to you while you've been here?
Awesome. I think the worst we had was a little bit of rain on Monday, and that was about it. But we have escaped,
we've seen some awesome thunderstorms.
Yes.
Me and Drew, we love our storms. Back home, we chase them.
That's right. We chase storms. We've done it a few times on our live streams.
But there was one occasion where we drove hundreds of kilometres to chase the storm.
We did. That was near Broken Hill. Back home, Broken Hill. We drove about 3 hours down this dark old highway, middle of nowhere, and so we do a bit of storm stuff as well. But thanks everyone who's reached out, said g'day, said hello on our shorts, our videos. We really appreciate it and can't thank you enough for that. So
that's great.
So it's going to be a bit of a sad day today.
It's hard to leave. It's go back to the busyness of life back home. Probably find out, updating dramas through my phone when I get it reconnected when I get back home. So I'll be like, here we go. Someone's had this happen or that happen or not happen.
Correct.
Well, hopefully you'll feel refreshed when you get back. So what are you going to? Have you already planning another vacation at some point in the future?
Hopefully
come back to Canada.
I think we'll do more of Canada next time. I think. And I mean, our experiences have been so welcoming into the borders of Canada. Like we won't go into everything, but Canada people just. Their border security was so much more calm than what the US was.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Put it that way. Without going into too much detail about things.
So I wonder about that stuff being luck of the draw sometimes, right? Because you hear stories from everybody, crossing for different reasons. Sometimes it's a breeze. Sometimes you go through the third degree. Right?
Totally. That's right. It depends who they feel like picking on, I suppose, for that day, and that could happen anywhere. So, but we'll definitely be having a look around Canada. I think next time a bit more. I'd really love to go up to the Northwest Territories and see Manitoba too, and do the polar bear bus.
Okay.
There's a polar bear bus at Manitoba, and I'm fascinated with bears and animals over here. So, and even a mountain lion, but from a safe distance. I think that'll be a zoo one. Mountain lions, but I'd love to see one.
So more adventurous than me, I can say that. And it was funny because we were talking about coming out for breakfast, and they said, "Well, we do like Tim Hortons."
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jeffrey got us onto Tim Hortons. Jeffrey from Jeffrey's Adventures. So
Tim Hortons has it's such a staple for us now. It's grown over a lifetime. But for the basics and for grabbing a quick sandwich and stuff like that, they got lots of stuff, and they mix it up all the time. And I was thinking about other Canadian franchises and restaurants and stuff. Have you experienced any that you can think of in particular?
I'm trying to think. I think really we've actually chosen different spots each time, and I wouldn't know what the chain restaurant would be. Apart from Macca's or Burger King, like we've done Burger King and McDonald's once or twice, but
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
KFC, that was different.
The only one I didn't like,
Popeyes.
Oh, interesting.
Popeyes was terrible. We got really sick, unfortunately.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I have a very sensitive stomach to onion and onion powder and onion products. Unfortunately, for me, a lot of the food that I would have liked to have eaten was just somehow drenched in onion or something wasn't right. But the Popeyes chicken, for Werner and I, we paid an enormous amount for it. We paid about $30.
I actually ended up getting it to...
Thank you so much. Cheers. Look at that, everyone. There you go. Sunset Grill. Awesome. Yeah. That was great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, so Werner and Drew are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I got some French toast here with some non-Canadian maple syrup. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much. I think we're all good, I reckon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Kevin.
So,
So we've had a lot of fun, and just been an experience, great experience, and seeing what's around. I mean, I think one of the hardest things for us is because Werner and I, only have driven once, and I drove because Werner doesn't have his international license, so I drove from Nevada to through Utah and into Arizona. Then we drove from Arizona. Then Salt Lake City, wasn't it? Yeah, something like that.
no,
We do that.
so it was
Feels like it was a while ago.
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. Yeah,
Las Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas to
through Arizona. Arizona to Utah.
Yeah. One thing I noticed that's different, like you were asking earlier, Kevin,
Yep.
is people tend to use the speed limit, at least more in the States, as a guide, not a limit, right? And so I was driving and I'm thinking, I can only do, 70 miles an hour, like, why is this car flying past me? And I'm like, lol, I don't know. And then Werner's like, oh, this is very fast. And I'm like, yep. I'm like, we just got to go with it. We'll do what the locals do. And, if it seems like it's doable, then we'll do it too.
Yeah. Well, for what you've seen, at least in this area of Canada, there's no split in between cities.
Yeah.
Like you don't find the farmland and the long highways where you can really open things up either. So you might not have seen as much.
Yeah.
Only on a couple of our major highways, you got people weaving in and out and stuff. But that's to be expected. In the States, I find that things can be a lot more open. It gives people a chance. If you got a car that can do it, they open them up.
They do, yeah. We noticed that. Yeah, so it was really cool.
What about Las Vegas? I'm really curious because people have told me a million times I'd love it there. I shouldn't go because I'll never come back. But did you spend much time in Vegas?
We didn't really get the time, did we?
It was only a couple of hours.
We drove through. I saw a friend of mine, her nephew is doing a show, like it's called Thunder from Down Under. And he was doing a show in Las Vegas, but aside from seeing his ad and seeing the lights, although I would see some of the casinos from the outside, we didn't go into the casino district or the sort of the main, the entertainment area. But I'm sure you're right, Kevin. I reckon it would be fun to explore it. But just didn't get the time.
That's okay. And then what about Niagara Falls? How much time did you spend down there?
That was a full day.
Yeah, full day pretty much. I think we got there about midday or just after midday, and then we walked around, we got food for a bit. And we walked down to where the waterfall starts, like the US side falls first, we saw that.
got to watch an amazing fireworks show.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you managed to catch that. They do fireworks every day down there at 10 o'clock, right?
It was incredible, yeah. It's really, really cool. And the light show that they do, like they had various colours of the rainbow that they put on, and they flashed them up into the falls, the Horseshoe Falls, which is Canada's side. Canadian, sounds like I'm saying Australia. Canada, there you go. We just loved it. I could have spent, I could have probably stayed there for a night. We probably should have, because we ended up, unfortunately, getting trapped thinking public transport ran late, right? And we had to walk up to this bus area, and we just missed our last bus up to this end. And it cost us 300 Canadian dollars to get back to the hotel via a taxi. Fantastic, thank
really
you.
nice.
So it was really, really cool. But unfortunately, we paid a bit to get back home that night.
I don't know.
No doubt,
I don't know if you can see that, but that's the waterfall at night.
Spectacular. Yeah, really spectacular.
I'm lucky to have lived there now for many years. I was born, raised, grew up in Toronto, and still continue to work around here. But I live in Niagara Falls, so I'm usually there on the weekend. I've been lucky to film a lot of that. But one of the things that they do, like a lot of the landmarks around here, like the CN Tower and other places, is they'll illuminate them with a certain color based on the different nonprofits or charities and things like that. In the case of, for instance, epilepsy, my girlfriend Kristen runs an agency in Niagara Falls. So on March 26th, it's known as Purple Day around the world. They'll illuminate the falls for 15 minutes, all purple, like in recognition of it, right?
That's so cool. I think that was very interesting, because it's similar back home. We have our football stadium often illuminated, like when Ukraine situation was unfolding. They had the yellow and blue, and then, like you say, with other events and charity events and things like that, they might put, purple for Wear It Purple Day, which for us back home is like Queer Pride, like Queer Pride Day, like in your workforce. So similar things, but same. It's really fascinating and just awe-inspiring seeing that waterfall. You think, my goodness, like this is what nature can be so full on and so just. You think how? You just think how? How does this work?
I'm glad that you got to see so much and have the memories to take along with you now, especially when you're able to capture it. I mean, home video has been a thing for beyond 50 years now, but more and more now we're able to capture everything with unlimited cloud storage. You can put as much as you want on YouTube and save it forever, right? Look back on it. And that's really cool.
It's awesome. There'll be lots of content to come. So
A lot.
heaps of stuff that we did and saw and people and interactions and you name it, it's all happening. We even met some Aussies down at Niagara Falls. They were from the Gold Coast. They don't have YouTube channels or anything, but they were just on a cruise and they were doing Alaska next or something like that.
Right.
Where they had said Alaska or something. They're going up to, and they were going to have a look up there and see all the ice fjords or how do you say it, ice flows, whatever the term is for it. And they're coming from the Gold Coast, which is like probably the closest we have back home to Florida, like very tropically kind of themed, like Disneyland-y sort of theme park sort of area back home. They probably have their eyes opened by all the ice and whatever they see up in Alaska and along the coast of Canada as well up that way. So pretty cool.
And what do you miss? What do you miss from home that you're looking forward to getting back to tomorrow then, or the next day?
Exploring.
For Werner,
I want to get straight back into exploring.
I think exploring for Werner because he's like what we've found is that because the rules over here are a little bit stricter, and especially in the States where there are guns, obviously, we got told a lot of the time, don't just wander into, knock on a door even, because you might end up with a bullet at your face or something, So we got told, be very careful, don't risk, certain times of the day or night, whatever. Wasn't it, Werner? So it's I think for Werner, that's his big thing. For me, I think the thing I miss is probably my car, my own car, and going out for drives. With my own car.
It helps people. Yeah. It helps when you've got really awesome friends.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of
that
people
are explorers, and they'll take you to places where you can go and explore. But there was a couple of times where me and Drew were just on our own and we'd find something and say, oh yeah, I'm going to go in there and think, I don't know.
And then, and we'd be like, is there someone, behind that door with a shotgun or something? I don't know. Or about to call the police.
But my first explore in Utah, when we got into Utah, was this old ranch. And it was sort of right out in the middle of nowhere, and I thought, well, there's no one around, so get a bit of filming on it. So but it was scary because we had our eyes like peeled to see. But I was hoping to see a rattlesnake, so I wanted to see a rattlesnake.
That's
as well.
something we didn't see.
I got a fascination with snakes.
We heard
so
them.
does Drew.
Yeah.
We both loved snakes.
We heard them in the bush, but we didn't see them.
So we heard them, but they'd already left when we got there.
No, I wouldn't have joined you for that. I wouldn't be seeking that out myself. It's okay. Thank you again, Scratch and PPA, for dropping that. I'm sitting with Werner's Adventures and Drew's Adventures right now. They're visiting from Australia. They're just at the tail end of their trip, as a matter of fact. They got one more day of adventure today, and we were lucky to be able to catch up for a meal, and I wanted to see how their time in Canada was.
It's been awesome.
Canada's been awesome. Really loved it.
Very welcoming.
So with the exception of the one meal, everything else has been good in Canada?
It's been amazing. Yeah, that's right. Just awesome place. Very kind people willing to go out of their way to give you a hand, show you directions. You can ask people here and they'll get their maps out and point to where you want to go or whatever. And whereas I think the States was a little bit less keen on that.
So you had a car in the States and you were driving around a little bit, but here in Canada, what have you been doing for transportation then?
Mostly going with friends or catching the buses, the public buses. So we've done a lot of busing, trains. We did do the train, the subway here.
Oh, really?
That was really, really cool. The only other subway we did while we're in North America was in LA. We went to Hollywood Boulevard station.
Okay.
That was really cool. It had film reels on the roof of the actual station.
We got to see the Hollywood sign, but drone only. That was quite cool.
It was awesome, the Hollywood sign. We walked down a drive called Rodeo Boulevard, I think it was. We just kept walking, got to this trail park thing. It was getting towards sunset, and then as we're walking back, Werner goes, I just heard something going in the bush. And I'm like, I hope it's not a mountain lion. I'm like, because it said mountain lions on these trails or something, and rattlesnakes. And I'm like, oh, we need to just be really careful if there's one that comes, we're gonna fight back, throw a rock at it, whatever.
Meeting some homeless guys. They were quite interesting. So when we first landed in LA, we
less Werner's naive heart.
where our hotel was, right next to our hotel, there was an abandoned dental clinic. And so I said to Drew, Drew, come on, let's go and explore this place. Anyway, so it was sort of late afternoon. It was still light. So we went into this abandoned dental clinic, and there was a couple of guys living in there, and I just said, look, hi, I'm an explorer from Australia, and one of them said, oh, cool, I'll give you a tour around the place. And I thought, oh, excellent. So just as we were setting up our camera gear to go with this guy to do a tour, he walked up to another guy that was living in the next section of the building. And they started whispering, and I thought, I don't like the vibe here, so so me and Drew, we just
there was a vibe of
thought, okay, no, this is not for us. We'll just make our way. And
the other thing I noticed too, and it will be in my little video that I'll do of that segment, the man had triangle and little tiny teardrop tattoos, I think they were. And I looked that up later, and it means that they're gang related or death related, right? So yeah, I have to be careful what I say on YouTube, but yeah, these tattoos under eyes mean things that are really not good, and you don't want to go near them. Yeah. So yeah, it was a little bit scary. So I was like, Werner, we just
but overall, they were nice guys.
Oh, they were fine. They didn't chase us. They didn't.
They didn't chase us.
Try and rob us, but perhaps if we had gone inside, it might have been a different story. I said to Werner, I don't plan on having a kidney removed. Something like, or whatever. I was like, I don't want to be exported to some third world country as a slave or something. I don't know how it works, but you don't know who's around. So
who knows? Yeah. Well, I'm glad you've had fun, and it sounds like you've stayed safe the whole time and everything else.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
Hopefully it's an adventurous day, but it sounds like you've got plans already, that's great.
Yeah, thank you so much to Kevin and TubeBuddy, your community, because without the community, our channels just don't always get seen, and it's great it's hard to beat that algorithm, isn't it? So Kevin well knows that.
It's just nice that we've got people willing to support each other, right? If it was not for something like that and the community, I would not have been out on a few paranormal investigations, maybe ever, right? Because now we meet people who have different interests that we might not have sought out.
That's right. And you learn something new. I've learned a lot of things from a number of channels, whether it be a new skill inspired by people that do crafts, like with my little shell thing that I did on my channel.
Interesting.
Was inspired by some people that I met through TubeBuddy, so yeah, it's been really good fun.
I was going to ask you how the meal was, but Drew's plate is, every morsel's disappeared.
It was damn good.
We're a little bit slower than you are, but it's okay. It's a good way to start the day. So thank you everybody for joining us. Again, I'll update this stuff as soon as I can. Probably not until later today, but I will get those links that Scratch and PPA has been dropping in the chat. I'll put those in the description so that you can easily get to Drew's Adventures and Werner's Adventures. They've actually been friends of a long time now. I'm guessing at least a couple of years, but it might be
only a year.
Is it?
Yep, just over a year.
I think Come Hither with Heather.
I
think Come Hither with Heather might have been with us a little bit longer as well.
Yeah, that's about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then we all ended up kind of meeting through that.
Yeah.
But this was a great opportunity, so thank you both for being here, and thanks for hanging out.
For taking time out from your day, Kevin, and your family, and
we wanted to enjoy a good meal at what I think is a Canadian restaurant, Sunset Grill, I think. So yeah,
it's really yummy. Yeah,
and then
very delicious.
I'm just holding on all my weight again.
Well, hopefully you guys have a safe trip back. I'm sure you will. It'll be long, but at least you have each other to keep company.
That's right, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. As long as we don't miss our boarding gates. That's been a scary thing too with airports. Is over here they tend to change the boarding gate in the last 20 minutes. You're supposed to walk down another 10 down, and we missed one flight because of that. But luckily we got reboarded. So shout out to Jeannie at Cincinnati Airport. Jeannie from American Airlines, and
she was an angel.
The other lady too that helped us too. I think her name was Rebecca. She was a tall lady, and she rebooked us. Remember onto the flight to Dayton, Ohio at the time. So yeah, so thank you to all those people out there. Hopefully one day you'll watch this Jeannie and you'll go, I remember then, the two Aussies.
Well, it's nice that there's helpful people willing to, because they got to deal with that every day. So it's nice that they can help out.
Most certainly, yeah. So, Awesome.
She was absolutely an angel, Jenny.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, her and her team. They went above and beyond. So it was great. As we call it, above and beyond service back home. So it's like above and beyond service that you expect.
Absolutely. That's great when
really
you have
kind.
that.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I'm glad you've enjoyed your time in Canada. Thank you for spending the time with me
No,
and letting me stream. And we have that as an extra memory now. And hopefully, come hither with Heather's happy to be able to catch up with you both, and then you'll be home in a couple of days.
Yeah, excuse my dreadful hair.
And when you come over to Australia, Kevin, Heather will have to take you out.
Yeah, we'd love to.
On a ghost hunt.
And we'll show you, and I'll show you the animals. So we'll do a bit of everything and show you how native animals out in the wild. They're mostly pretty harmless.
It's wonderful.
Don't believe everything you hear everyone about Australia having scary animals.
No.
All right.
Well, it's wonderful that we all here on YouTube get to meet people from all over the world.
Absolutely.
Every single person has different people, from all over the world on their channels as viewers. Eventually, friendships flourish and this and that, and then you start lining up the ideas for vacations in your mind, right? I'm assuming that's what influenced a small amount of you coming here this time. So
most definitely.
that's great. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. We're going to wrap things up. We're just about done our breakfast. I'm going to let Drew and Werner get on with their day, and I'll be looking forward to all the footage you guys are going to bring on your channel. So thanks again.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya, guys.
Thanks, Pete.
Cheers.
Oh, it takes me forever to shut this thing off.